Hey everyone, this is Daryl, IDP for Life. I'm back. Welcome to the Trophy Lounge. With me again, I have Kryptonite Dragon.
Hello.
All right. So this is actually a redo of our podcast that we recorded yesterday. So I hope you guys are probably thinking that every week is late or something's messed up, and you would be right. Uh, Basically, yesterday we recorded it. It was a great show, um, and then when I went to play it back, you could hear me just fine because I have a new microphone. So hopefully you can hear me just fine right now. But my amazing new microphone was canceling out Kryptonite Dragon, so it sounded like, "Hey, what do you think about Xbox One?" And then what you heard from Kryptonite Dragon was,
They probably would have liked that though. They probably want that version.
maybe. I think we should put like a blooper thing up, like maybe like at the end of the month. But what we are going to be discussing today, oh, you guys missed an amazing conversation that we had about Marvel Comics. We're not going to go back into it, but it was seriously about 20 minutes of our show, just expressing how much of a nerd I am and how much of a nerd he is. But basically, we were going to be discussing Xbox One. I did not get a chance to speak with you guys last week about the Xbox One announcement. I had some family issues, which, like any family issue, whenever something bad happens in your family, it takes a while to get back to your normal routine. So welcome to my normal routine, which is today. Actually, today was kind of crappy too, now that I think about it. I woke up really early, helped my friend move, and now I'm trying to help him carry stuff in from the U-Haul into the apartment. I am tired. But anyway, we are going to be discussing the Xbox One announcement and a couple other things that came up that affected Sony as well. But we'll get to that later. So, Kryptonite, what did you do from the last time I talked to you yesterday? What's been going
Well,
on?
actually, you're going to get a lot more information, I think, because I spent a good portion of today looking into the technology behind both consoles announcements.
Oh,
So,
okay.
I was basically I spent the day trying to educate myself on how a lot of this works with the DDR3 versus the DDR5 and some of the other things with technology. And one of the things I tried to do was stay away from sites that were comparing the Xbox and the PlayStation and just specifically talking about the technology. So I think I have a little bit better take probably on it today than I
Found
did.
one website.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Well, that's going to be very interesting because from what we were speaking about yesterday, I was still kind of shaky on some of the technology. So you would be educating me as well as any of our listeners. Um, but I mean, other than that, was that all you did? You just got on the internet?
Well, that's all I did related to this. I've in relation to the site, I'm trying to do a lot more stuff with learning about SEO and to kind of pump up a little bit of stuff with the social media. And then the other thing is, since we've had some failures that have been clearly technology based with using XSplit and Twitch and some of these other programs, is we need to look at some other avenues, and perhaps Google Hangouts might be the next best option, where we can actually connect all of our cameras and kind of join online and make a video and then just publish that to YouTube, or have it streamed directly to YouTube as an option for having our sound go out every other time or whatever other issues are affecting our sound.
So that'll be something to look forward to.
Yes.
So anybody who, matter of fact, if anybody already uses Google Hangouts, tell us how you like it.
Yeah,
Kind of give
definitely.
us a little bit of feedback ahead of time. I mean, yeah, we're going to try it too, but we gave you guys our feedback on things, so let's hear about your feedback on Google Hangouts. My only experience with Google Hangout, which I didn't, we were just talking about it before we started the podcast. I forgot to mention this, but my only experience with Google Hangouts is my mom tried to put me in her circle so we can do a Google Hangout, and I declined. So that that is the only experience I have with it. Other than that, I've never used it.
Yeah, there's so
But
many
Google,
software programs nowadays. It's hard to keep track. Obviously, people use Skype a lot, but a lot of the programs that work with Skype, it's a bandwidth hog. So,
hmm
I just got to figure out something that works where we're all connecting to some kind of centralized server or something, as opposed to one of us hosting, because that doesn't seem to be the best option. So.
Well, I try to stay away from Google as much as possible, because they are the future Skynet. So I rather hold back on the machines taking over. But whatever works best for the website will work best for me.
Cool, cool.
So in terms of the Xbox One, oh, actually, real quick Marvel news since we were talking about yesterday. Uh, at the end of Iron Man 3, which if you guys don't know, there's always something usually at the end of the Marvel movies. At the end of Iron Man 3, it was very stupid. I'm not going to spoil it for you if you haven't seen it yet, but it was just dumb. It wasn't what I expected. There was no teaser for a new movie and nothing like that. But I just read today at the end of um, the new Wolverine movie coming out, there is a teaser that leads up to the new X-Men Days of Future Past.
Hmm. Cool,
And
cool.
these are things that I look up as I'm driving on the highway. Instead of paying attention to the road, I get my phone out and read the news and try to drive. I focus on the news more, and then, I try to drive. Um, don't do that at home, kids. But that's what I learned today, news-wise.
Hmm.
And also, I will be doing an article later on tonight. Dante will probably have to put some images in there. But it looks like EA, which by the way, when I say tonight, I mean May 30th. But it looks like EA makes some online pass content free on Xbox Marketplace.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be, I guess, um, good, I guess. It'll be good for at least current Xbox users. And
Talk about a change of position, huh?
right, and speaking of that position that they changed from, this leads us back to the Xbox One announcement. When I saw the announcement, basically, I like skipped through it a lot because everything they were saying for the first 20 to 30 minutes out of that hour and 50-minute conference was about entertainment in terms of television.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not what I was there for. So I was skipping through. And then when it finally got to the games, which I'm pretty much quoting you verbatim from yesterday. You pretty much said it was like a generic. It was the generic games that they were trying to promote. When I say generic, it's there are blockbusters like Call of Duty. We know that Call of Duty is going to sell because it's Call of Duty, just like we know that Madden's going to sell because it's Madden. But there was no innovative thinking or no new games that were breaking some type of maybe not graphics wise, maybe it wasn't breaking the barrier down for graphics, but it's breaking the barrier down for a new way of gameplay. It was just pretty term I can use, lackluster in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But what did you? Because there were a couple of things that we disagreed on. What did you think about the name?
Well, you were saying you understood it and whatnot, but I was saying that the iteration of Xbox One, just the whole creation of keeping Xbox and then going with the number one when you're looking at really the third console, just doesn't make sense to me. It's one of those things that it's supposed to be a gaming system. That's what the Xbox is supposed to be about. The Xbox 360 did a good job of bringing a lot of extras and things like that, and this just seems to me like like they're going a TV route. They're going kind of like an entertainment hub, and it's almost like misnaming it by using Xbox and then putting the number one, like they're just redoing the whole concept of a gaming console, when really they're stepping away from a gaming console. And I thought that it would have been more appropriate to use something like X1 or some other name in one, or get away from the term Xbox, or to use some of the other things that they were talking about, which is the Xbox 720, the Xbox Infinity, some of those other names that they had created that just seemed to make much more sense going forward.
Yeah, at least with me, like my position on that was, that is something that we did disagree on. Like I understood not that I like it, but I understood where I think they were trying to go with it. Xbox all-in-one entertainment system, and that's why maybe during the press conference they focused more on television and more on football packages. But I was talking to my roommate yesterday, and we was talking about the Xbox One because he has an Xbox 360 and a PS3. And I was asking him which one he's going to get, and he said he might do both again, but he's not too keen about the whole Xbox One. And I was just thinking about that aunt and uncle who always gives you like Christmas, like big birthday gifts and Christmas presents, and that that single mom or that single dad or whoever who doesn't know anything about technology. I feel like and mind you, it's going to be very, very minor, but I feel like it's going to confuse people when you have the Xbox, Xbox One, Xbox 360. I
Yeah.
feel like it's going to confuse some people in terms of shopping, which of course if they're shopping at a retail store, it'd be very easy to just ask someone, okay, what is the newest Xbox system? But for most people or some people who get their like gaming systems cheap by going to like online traders like eBay or Craigslist, they might get scammed pretty easily.
Mhm.
And I thought about that. I was like, I didn't even think about that during the podcast, but and then I got upset 'cause I realized we had to record it again because my microphone is stupid. But then, but I was just like, that's going to be something very minor, but it's still going to be something that is going to potentially affect sales, maybe. Not on a grand scheme like they're going to lose 500,000 units, but, couple aunts and uncles aren't going to be too happy that they got to return the Xbox 360 they got to buy an Xbox One.
Mhm. Yeah, I don't know, but either way, a name's just one thing. I mean, potentially we're talking about like, and we mentioned this yesterday, but the audience should have been gamers. I don't think anyone was tuning in with the idea of like I want to see the latest in an entertainment hub that links gaming and television and cable and sports. So regardless of that, their focus clearly for their press conference was a little bit, I think, and now reading a little bit, they didn't bring some of the strongest points out. They didn't explain a lot of things. They've left a lot of stuff hanging. Worse yet, some of the stuff that's controversial, they're not answering to. They're saying, well, we'll tell you soon. They almost seem to be backpedaling from the stuff about, games being locked and whatnot, which, we were talking about DRM. And,
Hmm.
I think those are going to go a lot further to help them come in third place in a two-horse race, than anything.
So, I mean, let's kind of get into it. I mean, what are the things that beneficial? What are the things that would have been beneficial for them to mention during the conference that they didn't? Because
Well,
you have been reading up on the technology of it.
yeah, yeah. I've since learned that there is plans to do a DVR type system with the Xbox so that it will record like a DVR. And that's one of the things I had no knowledge of from watching the press conference. I was real big about how the cable box will not work with Time Warner Cable. It works with
Hmm.
Comcast clearly right now, where they can plug the cable directly into it, change the channels with voice and whatnot. You can't do that with a system that, like I have with a DVR with Time Warner Cable, where I have to flip through the channels. It tells me my favorites. My favorite channels are all marked. It records the content on a set schedule. It's all real simple and easy to do. Push of the button, and if my cable box has to plug into the Xbox, it's not going to allow voice controls of the Xbox to change the channel and do all that stuff and record it still on the DVR, unless there's something I'm not aware of. Those are two different devices, and making it so that they communicate, they'd have to work something out with Time Warner Cable.
Hmm.
They'd have to work something out with the boxes to work in that way. So, I was happy to learn that they are going to have a DVR type setup with the Xbox. But then again, that still comes all back around to that's all fine and great, but they're not really replacing technology that I use because I'm limiting my TV services, cutting stuff out, cutting out these extra cable channels. because it is so expensive. I went from like $250 a month down to like 90 or something like that now by getting rid of pay
Wow.
channels, getting rid of sports channels. Just cable is very, very expensive. And then having the boxes and everything, you got to pay for each box. If Xbox can replace those, that's great. But at the same time, I don't know, why do I want to keep paying all these pay channels and stuff and make TV such a big part of my entertainment focus when there's so much available online. I go
Hmm.
to a particular channel's website and I can see the latest versions of their show. You know, I can stream movies and stuff like that from the Netflix and everything. I don't need to wait for them to come out on HBO.
True.
I go to HBO.com and stream whatever movies I want to see and whatnot. Those are the kind of things that just kind of kill it for me. Much less not being about a gaming system for me. I want a gaming system. I want innovation that's going to help with gaming,
True.
and
Well,
that it doesn't bring that.
what I think Xbox is trying to do is play catch up to Sony because, and I've mentioned this before, and I've even wrote an article about it. Is, I'm sorry, Sony PlayStation 3 is the leading device for Netflix outside of your computer. Um, the thing about it is that Sony just kind of failed on that. It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't something that I feel that they were trying to, like, when they first made the product, they were saying, okay, we're going to make this for video games and we're going to make this for every entertainment, hub that you can come across. Because in terms of, Blu-ray, when PS3 came out, everyone was taking a gamble. It's going to be Blu-ray, it's going to be HD DVD. Blu-ray happened to win out, so good on Sony. And then they decided, well, let's use all this technology that we have and see what else we can do with it. And they, got, Netflix, and now there's YouTube and Crackle and all these other things that you can use your PS3 for. And it just became this major entertainment hub because I use my PS3 for everything. If
Mm-hmm.
I'm not on the internet or like writing an article, then I'm on my PS3 on Netflix playing a video game, watching a movie, um, which, mind you, yes, Netflix and movies, but I'm saying I'm putting a DVD in, or I'm watching Netflix, watching Crackle, downloading music through the Amazon link. Like I, I'm always on there. And I feel like Xbox One is trying to play catch up, and they're doing it backwards, where they're saying, "Oh, the games will come." You know, where that we're a gaming system, and that's not what this conference is about. We're not going to talk about the games right now. We're just going to talk simply about everything else that it can do, and you'll find out about the games later. And that is completely like that is ass backwards.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's definitely going to bite them in the butt if they don't address it during E3. Because if they go to E3 with that same old song and dance about, you're going to be able to connect, like, you'll be able to have an NFL package on this, yada yada yada. Nobody at E3 is going to care. That is definitely not the audience who's going to care about that.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's one of those things. It's like whenever you're shifting audience and you're trying to include other people, you can't forget about your base audience too. It's a basic rule about, change of direction like that and the way marketing works. You can't say, well, it's a gaming system. We're going to TV now. All you TV people come and listen, and, we'll tell you about the games later. Because just like you said, I mean, if you're a gamer and you're listening to the Xbox press conference, who's expecting that? I want to go learn about the latest in TV controls, because really what we're talking about here, you look past all of that with the sports packages and all that stuff. That's available through cable.
Yeah.
They may provide some extra stuff, and they may provide some extra things like that related to sports, but the Xbox isn't a sports watching system. Being able to control your cable and all that, you can do that already. It instantaneously, when you press the remote button, changes the channel and changes back and forth. I can change just as quick with my PS3 and anything like that to go to TV. Now, the voice control, that's all great and cool, but that doesn't really, I don't know that it makes life so much easier for a gamer or a television watcher that it's a big feature that just blows everything else away. It's like, well, I might not be able to play as good at games and all that other stuff, but at least I can talk to my TV.
Right.
Because how does that work? You got to turn your music down, you got to turn your game down. I heard talk about people were watching on their Xbox, and the guy giving voice commands was already controlling and changing things up for their the camera system and everything, listening in already. And I
Mhm.
mean, what happens with these things is they pump something up so big in their mind that they forget about what their main focus is altogether. It's like the people will come. They know we're still about gaming. Do they really? You got to remind
Right.
them. You got to tell them that we're talking about something new. How about you tell us the new features related to gaming? That's what people are here for. And not only did they not do that, but then there was things they didn't talk about that would have been nice to hear. The gaming stuff with the locks. The DRM. People want to know about that. Explain it. Good or bad, lay it out there. Don't leave it up in the air. Don't leave people guessing, because then the worst is going to come out. People are going to be asking, they're not getting the answers, and you just gave a damn press conference.
Well, I don't think they know how to address the DRM issue because which we're gonna explain that in detail again, I guess, but that's still hard. That's like a hard pill to swallow.
Mm.
Which the DRM issue, which you cleared it up for me yesterday, which is digital rights management. If you buy a video game for $50, you have to download it onto your Xbox One, and then if you say, "Here, Daryl, play this game," I have to download it to my Xbox One and then pay that $50 as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's now, if correct me if I'm wrong, but if you decided, hey, Daryl, I want you to play this game just to see how you like it, you can come over to my house and log on to your account on my Xbox One, and then we can play it via your account. But once you leave, and I'm like, oh, that game was so amazing, I can't play it unless I buy it for
We
$50,
have
right?
to. We have to. It locks to an account first off, not to a
Mhm.
system, like is the current setup with Sony. It locks to a system,
Mhm.
and it'll allow multiple. Like I believe it's two now. It used to be like five, but you can put it on a couple of systems and install it. If we're talking about digital content, it's pretty long install anyway. Um, to fully install a game. But if it's locked to a person's user account, that even means like if I own an Xbox and I've got 5 children, they have to play on my account to play it. If not, they have to buy their own copy, complete
Wow.
100%. And what we're talking about here, the initial explanation was the full price of the game would have to be paid. Now, that's not saying that they won't come up with a system to unlock it from you when you sell it, but they didn't
Mhm.
explain that. They don't have that in the works. The way Sony works now, you can actually take it off of a system, and someone else can use it. You can basically kind of clear the way so someone else can install it on their system. Um, Obviously, with the digital content, you own it, and it's not something. It is locked to your account. It's locked to your account anyway. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about discs and the portability of discs and being able to resell them, and that's an important feature for the gaming community, because largely people are not going to try a lot of these games or buy them, unless they see them in the bargain bin. How many of us are going to buy games and pay full price 6 months after the game came out? How many of us are going to, um, you know, use the money that we would buy our favorites to just go test some game out or whatever? It's not going to happen. So,
Mhm.
if they don't get a system down and get this clarified, they're going to turn a lot of people off.
Which it might be too late already for maybe some, because immediately there's already going to be some people on the fence.
Hmm.
So it might be too late. But once again, it all comes back to E3. They they decided to do their big announcement 2.5 weeks before E3. So now we have all these questions that are not being answered, and we're expecting them to answer it during E3. If not at E3, then where?
Hmm.
So if it's not answered during E3, then they lost I feel like they lost the next generation console. They might as well go ahead and keep their focus on the entertainment side and the cable boxes and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Which
Well,
I mean, and even speaking of with the cable boxes, I mean, like with the NFL package, you mentioned this when we were speaking earlier. They don't they only have the American audience in mind.
hmm
Like Dante is not going to care about NFL package.
yep. Football to them is soccer, and FIFA. It's I mean, even Canada. There's a number of little cartoon things that have been out, and I've seen posted all around the internet where it shows the Xbox and bags of Doritos and like football players and all this other stuff, and they're like, "Woohoo, Xbox! Only for America," or aren't we great? The U.S. And just shows the U.S. kind of a map of the U.S. or whatever over top of it. And if you're trying to market a console, the more you limit your audience and the more you limit the topics and you avoid discussions about things, I mean, it's poor marketing. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know what they were thinking. I can't see anyone in the UK saying, "Wow, this system is for us and this is great." And oh, we don't have Comcast that they have in the United States. We've got satellite TV that's plugged into our phone line and whatnot, and there's no way this is going to work.
Right. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, like the whole international. There was just no international thought, as if Microsoft is only in the United States,
Mm.
as if you're building a system only for, you know, the East Coast to West Coast, and no one else wants it. Which I mean, maybe that says more about their international sales. Maybe. Like maybe they are aware that they're not going to do as well yet on their initial launch overseas, so they're taking the time. Or maybe they're going to say something during E3, like, oh, and by the way, FIFA.
I don't know. I don't know. Um, at the other end of it, and I've been doing a lot of research. I say again, uh, a lot of the technology they tout, for me, it's honestly like they're playing catch up. And let me explain by that. Um, Skype, they're putting Skype on there.
Hmm.
And I use Skype a lot. Skype is great. But the reality is, I don't know if anyone out there in the audience listening has done this, but I've been on with a camera system on the PS3 and pulled up, 5 or 6 people on a video chat using the PS3 and using a camera, and it worked fantastic. Um, Not unlike a video Skype chat, you know, the systems they already do that.
Right.
Um, Smart Glass. Smart Glass is not really the Xbox One. Smart Glass is technology outside of that where you can control other devices and use the glass to interact with your Xbox with other apps and things like that. That technology is out there. PlayStation, Sony's going to release the PlayStation app. It's going to allow PS4 users to turn their smartphones and tablets into a second screen, enhancing gameplay, interacting with their PS4. It's not anything new. They're presenting it like smart glass, and you can change your channel to your, and it all rings to, it should do that. I look at it and go,
Hmm.
well, yeah, okay, voice, cool. Application, you can change between TV instantly. I can do that with my remote. I push the button. It takes about the same length of time as it did switching, in the demonstration. I don't get it. It's like, well, now introducing remotes and you can switch. It's kind of almost like that to me, and it's like, eh. And then and then we look at some of the other features, and you break it down. I got to say, I've been all over looking at just talking to PC people about DDR, how RAM works, cloud-based gaming service. I don't think their cloud-based gaming service that they're talking about is along even close to the same kind of lines as Gaikai, where they'll be able to host downloadable content in games that were on previous systems to actually stream that. By all accounts, there's no reason Gaikai won't be able to offer that you'll be able to play the PS4 and play online through cloud-based gaming all previous games of PlayStation 1, 2, and 3. It's real clear that that is absolutely doable. If not at launch, it'll come very soon. And and Xbox is like backwards compatibility. We don't. What are you talking about? There was a quote, and I think you had said it before, about backwards compatibility, and one of the execs at Microsoft responding to that.
Oh yeah, he said if you are wanting backwards compatibility, I think you're living backwards,
hmm
which was not smart.
And then we look at videos. I want to be able to stream videos and watch videos via the internet. That's more important to me than watching cable. Particularly if I'm able to, watch YouTube channels and things like that, which clearly, the PS4 is aimed towards the share button, having the share button on the new controller, making it possible to view in-game content that's streamed live from your friends, and the social gameplay where you can send video footage, you can cut the video footage, all that other stuff. Yes, it sounds like the Xbox One will do those kinds of things, but there was no focus on explaining that. There was no focus on, this is what we got in mind for gamers and gaming videos. Um, you know, is there any difference if you say, well, it's got Skype built in, or PS4 has apps for video and already does that, and it's built, maybe it's a part of the desktop to video chat with somebody instantly.
Hmm.
Is there a difference there? Does the name Skype make it, wow, that's cool, it's got Skype, as opposed to it's an app or an add-on, or the PlayStation app where you have the smartphone and tablets working like smart glass? What difference does it make? One's addressing it as a built-in feature that's using resources, and then the other one's saying we have the availability and you can download it as an app if you choose to. I'd rather have that option. I'd rather have it not bundled. And if you want to get in depth talking about resources, we can. But it's real clear that when you have this stuff kind of almost bundled in there and forced upon it, where you got to have the online connectivity with the Xbox One every 24 hours or something like that. You have to, pay for the online service. You have to, have 3 operating systems running so that it can switch between TV and sports and gameplay and videos. That's 3 operating systems running using resources all the time. What does that mean for actually what's usable for a gamer? A lot less.
Hmm.
So,
Which, I mean, that is, that's the big difference between Sony and Microsoft, because they do offer that as options. And
hmm
I'm the type of person where whenever you have a new application, I want to see how it's going to work, so I'll just automatically download it. And especially with the PS3, when they do like, oh, we have this new video, like, or this new TV show program that you can download, it's usually like a free week subscription or something.
hmm
So I'll just automatically download it just to see how I like it, whatever. But after a while, like, I'll put in like a new video game, and I can't download the video game because I have too much stuff on my PS3 that I don't need. I
hmm
just get rid of it.
hmm
Like, I just immediately go to the app and delete it from my PS3, and everything's fine. And to have that, like you said, like rooted into your Xbox One, is definitely going to cause problems. Like, on a very micro scale, but on the scale of a consumer, um, Verizon had this phone a long time ago. That was supposed to be, not a long time ago, maybe like 3 years ago. But in terms of technology, that was like 30 years ago. But they had this phone that had supposed to be able to do everything. It was supposed to be able to be on the LTE network. That was just now coming out. Supposed to be lightning fast, hence the name HTC Thunder. And it had so much crap rooted into the phone that it was moving like hella slow. Like, I had to go return it. Like, it's so whenever you root things into anything, you're gonna mess it up.
Hmm.
The good thing is it's Microsoft, and we live in this type of world where I guarantee you there's already like hackers thinking of how they can like hack this system to make it more convenient for them. That's
Hmm.
the good news if you're a hacker. It's not the good news if you're a normal consumer. But Microsoft is paving themselves into a corner that they're not going to be able to get out of.
Yeah, and I think it speaks to a lot of things with Windows is a good comparison when you buy a computer and you buy it with a lot of resources, and then you get home and you find out that Windows is using up a majority of them because it's just got everything in there. Browsers are a good example of how people like streamlined. That's why Internet Explorer is it turns a lot of people off. It's big and bulky. It does everything, and people don't want all that stuff at being forced to have something that's just overly complicated, has all these things and features built into it, and runs incredibly slow. They want a nice streamlined browser, and then they add a few things that they like on there, add some add-ons, and poof, they got the browser that they want. And it doesn't take that much in terms of knowledge of technology before you realize that that's the better method. And 3 operating systems may not sound like a lot, but when you consider what resources are always going to be running, and then how a game developer, instead of having the full aspect of everything to make the game, that now they've got to work around, well, what if a person's running some movie thing in the background and they need to be able to switch by their voice, and it's like, well, it's using that much resources. And this has been brought up too. It kind of worries me about games that will be released on all systems. If it's made primarily to work on the Xbox One, are we going to get a lesser quality game on the PS4 because of that? That
Well,
sucks.
like what? But what games though? I mean, what games even now can you think of that where they cross-platform? I mean, usually most of the games are. I see what you mean, but I feel like they would openly put extra content on a PS4 game if the PS4 game will allow it.
Well, if it's an
Like,
exclusive, they will.
well, Watch Dogs is not an exclusive, but there's going to be an extra hour of content on the PS4 version than the Xbox version,
Hmm.
and that's not an exclusive. So, and speaking about games, I mean, game developers are even coming out and openly saying that it's not that easy making games for the new Xbox. I actually just read the article yesterday when we got the our first recording, but they're having a difficult time developing for this new Xbox system, unlike the PS4 system, which to all the game developers was, according to the conference, a dream.
Hmm.
So I don't think that we're going to lose any, which I could be wrong. This is just my own personal thought. I don't think that we're going to lose any quality of gaming for PS4 gamers if the game was primarily made for Xbox One. I feel like it may open up the door to extra content and
Maybe,
uh,
but you gotta consider too. A lot of game developers are going to almost be lazy in that regard when they develop for a system, whichever one it is. Then the other one's almost always more of a, even if it's not directly, it's closer to a port, where you take it and you make the controls work with the other system and things like that, and that's not the same thing as developing it directly for that system. That's why exclusive content on the PS3 is always going to have superb graphics, and you look at it and you go, oh, that's freaking awesome. And then you're wondering, why isn't all these other games, why don't they have those kind of graphics? The
hmm
reason why is because they're making them to work on all these other different, the PC, the Xbox, the PlayStation, and they got to make it so it works on all of them without having to make an individual version for each console, because that's not what they're going to do. You know, they're not going to gear content towards it. If they got an extra hour of content, then they're probably making it on the PS4, and they're probably just cutting out an hour of content for the Xbox. Not the other way around. They're not making the Xbox game and making a PS4 game and go, well, let's do a little extra for the PS4. Lazy man rules. They're gonna they're gonna
Yeah,
say,
that's
well.
true.
So, and that's the gist of it here. We're talking about so many differences that are, minute in the tech that people aren't aware of. Right down to the Blu-ray. The Blu-ray supposedly, with the PS4 will support um, the higher storage capacity Blu-rays,
Hmm.
whereas the Xbox version supposedly will just be the standard 50-something
Wow.
gigabyte ones, which is again another real big limitation. So now if you've got a great game with superior graphics and it comes on one disc on the PS4, well now to do the same kind of game on the Xbox One, you might have two or three discs.
Yeah. So
Um,
basically, it'll be just like Skyrim.
hmm So we go back to Xbox requiring more discs for each game, and all these little things. There's all these little minute differences in um, memory, DDR3, DDR5. From everything I learned about it, DDR3 is actually very good for handling smaller chunks of data at a faster rate, um, and works better when you're running 3 operating systems than DDR5, which is meant for larger chunks of data, like video, graphics, and stuff like that is. And so you're really talking about a difference there in terms of one that's broken down to handle smaller bits at a faster rate, which works better with multiple operating systems than DDR5, which should make graphics and stuff like that superior in terms of it handling that and processing all those. So
Right.
it's another one of those things you look at it and you go, well, one's geared towards multiple operating systems, and the Xbox has 3 operating systems running. It makes sense, but at the same time, it's like that doesn't sound like they're working towards the best possibilities for game development. So, I don't know. Even the Bluetooth is going to be superior this time around. Bluetooth 2.0 plus EDR, which is enhanced data rate.
Hmm.
This new Bluetooth will be like 3 times faster. It'll have better, prevention for anyone linking into it. The pairing and everything like that it took a little bit of time before always to pair will be automatic. All you have to do is confirm the connection now. And this will allow multiple Bluetooth connections at the same time very easily. So it's improved like 10 times better than previous Bluetooth. And you think about all these earpieces and everything that are used nowadays and stuff with phones and all that other stuff. They work on Bluetooth technology. They're readily available in the marketplace. You could use those very easily, now with your PlayStation. Versus, I'm not exactly sure what the Xbox plan is, but it's some kind of Wi-Fi device, Wi-Fi enabled device. Those kind of things. Subtle little things that are like, well, one's making use of current technology and taking it to a whole new level, and the other one's going like in a new direction. It's like, well, we want to stay away from that. PlayStation uses that. Let's not do it.
Right.
Um, you know, I don't have the answer here, but I look at everything and it's very clear to me Microsoft is moving in a whole new direction with the Xbox One. And it's a step away from a full gaming direction.
Yeah. Yeah. They're definitely leaving out how they made their name. Like the main reason for the Xbox was just to be a gaming contender, and now it's just like we moved on already. Moved on to what? I mean, there has to be something that we obviously don't know, like some type of major deal that they have going on behind the scenes. Because moved on to what? Like this is your business. That's that makes no sense to me. I mean,
Hmm. I don't know. Looking forward to seeing what E3 has to say. We got about a week and a half, and it'll be interesting to do a comparison. Hopefully we'll get the information not just from Microsoft, but from Sony as well. Some of the things that haven't been discussed, I sure would love to just hear that now, get my hands on it. Like, both sides just come clean, tell us what the system is, show us what it looks like, show us how it's going to work, show us how you're looking towards the future to improve these things. I was reading about 4K televisions, and have you heard anything about that at all? Are you
No,
familiar
I
with it at
haven't.
all?
Nope. Break it
Basically,
down.
basically, Sony is been real big on pioneering the 4000. It's the answer for 1080 on high
Mhm.
def televisions. Now picture 4000. So basically, essentially 4000. Four times what's currently capable on a high def television.
Mhm.
It's incredibly an incredible difference, I guess, in terms of visual and what's possible. And the HDMI 2 that would be needed to support that hasn't even really been invented yet. Um, Yet it's real clear that when you take your average movie, it'll need to be twice its size. Even a Blu-ray high-def movie would need to be like twice its size on a disc. So, you know, um, you're talking about something that you have to be looking for the next level of Blu-ray and storage capacity and having it be able to store twice as much at least. And if you're not doing that, you're not looking towards that 4K, which is clearly a big focus. And it doesn't seem like Microsoft's looking towards that. They've looked into the development of the HDMI 1.4A or something along those lines, where the HDMI cable is a little bit more upgraded, but technically that HDMI 2.0 isn't developed yet. It's not possible to put that in either one of the consoles. But what about the Blu-ray technology, and what about the streaming of it and everything like that? If that becomes possible and you can do 4K, you need to support that. You need to support it with the Blu-ray device. You need to be thinking about that with your capabilities of your video, um, and RAM and all that other stuff. So
Mhm.
it looks to me that they're almost short-sighted in terms of this next console being a big enough leap.
That's actually a good way of putting it. Short. That I feel like they're just hoping that I don't know. They're hoping that the best way to put it, they are depending on their fanboys to go out, buy the system like day one,
Yeah.
and then they're just gonna let everything else, like, just kind of like let the Xbox One sit out there, and people are going to pick it up, of course, for whatever the reasons that they're going to pick it up, but they're not looking for gamers. They're not looking for any new gamers, in my opinion. They're not looking to turn a PS3 fan into an Xbox One consumer. They don't
Hmm.
really care about that. I think what they're looking for more is, oh, hey, all you parents who buy these game systems, we made something for you now. We made an entertainment system for you that is big and clunky, and you know, because even the design doesn't look like a gaming system,
Hmm.
if that makes sense. It's just like big rectangle. It's sleek, all black. It looks like another appliance that you would put under your flat screen. So
Yeah.
I feel like, yeah, like they're the whole, like I said, they're obviously doing something that we don't have any idea what they're doing yet, but they have moved on from games, um, which that will probably be confirmed in E3, when their whole big thing is not even about games, probably about something else completely different. So that's going to be confirmed soon. I mean, I can only speculate thus far.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't know. There's one caveat that's looking good for them is the parts and pieces that they have in there should be cheaper than what Sony's got in theirs. Um,
But do you
you
think
know,
that's going to make the actual system cheaper?
yes, it could. Um, it all comes down to did Sony learn, and a lot of people are saying Sony learned their lessons about pricing, and uh, I don't know if they have. If the
Hmm.
next Xbox comes out and it's $400, and the next PlayStation comes out and it's $600. You may see people that are, especially, if they don't know and they think, they're the same. They've been the same, Xbox 360, PS3, You may see that purchase happen. Because once a purchase has happened and, and it does play games and you don't have a comparison point and you think, well, I've got the same kind of games, I can play Call of Duty on either one and blah, 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 and, I've got my Xbox, I had an Xbox before, I'm used to it, controller's about the same, it's got some TV things on there, oh yeah, sports, okay. You could see it where it's just, a continuation in the market, and it's not something that, sometimes features and everything like that are great when you know. But then on the other side of that coin is also people that are kind of like, they're going to make a purchase a lot based on price.
I don't think gamers will do that, but I do think that the aunt and uncle I was referring to earlier in the show, like they will be doing that. If the kid is like, oh, I want a PS4, and they go to the store and the price is not what they had in mind, but this Xbox One is, PS4 and Xbox One do the exact same thing for $399. But I think that which this was like a news. It was in a news article. It wasn't the basis of the news article, but I think that the PlayStation is going to come out the gate a lot cheaper than what we think.
Well, see, I've heard that too, and the problem is I paid $600 for the PlayStation 3 on release because that was what the price was, and that's about twice as much as what you can get one for now, and clearly, I don't know. I mean, at first everyone had the idea that the PlayStation 3 was just way overpriced. They really did. That kept a lot of people from making the jump. Even if they didn't buy an Xbox, they still looked at it and go, oh, it's a little pricey.
And it kind of was overpriced, but then you got to look at when the PlayStation 3 first came out, it was backwards compatible. Almost all of them were. It was, but then as the backwards compatibility feature started to be taken away, it got cheaper. If PlayStation's doing this Gaikai subscription, which we all assume that it's going to be pretty much every PlayStation game available you can play for a certain price a month, I feel like that's going to definitely bring the price down. I mean, of course, Sony is going for they're going for the fence on this. Like they're trying to hit a home run on this in terms of technology for games, because they kind of got the whole entertainment thing already down packed.
Well, what's your thought on the price then? What do you think the release price will be for?
I think the release price will be $399 or $449.99.
Okay.
I think like
so $450.
Yeah, I think that'd be the highest, but that would be like a limited time offer.
Still pretty
like maybe
pretty up there.
It may be something.
The other thing you got to realize is PC people, looking at it going, well, I can build a super duper PC for $500 and put what I want in it and get, fast speeds on the internet, and you can use it as a TV and you can use it to play games, and
that's rare though. I mean, that's like out of everybody who has, let's say, 20 friends, that's like probably one person who's probably not.
I mean, it used to be rare. But here's the thing: we're limiting all these services too with DRM, and we're doing all these things with with expense for online, and let's face it too. Gaming, when you're gaming, your internet speed and your graphics card and all that other stuff. When you can improve those things, it gives you a little bit of an advantage over the appearance and functionality and stuff of other people that are gaming. PCs have that, and if anyone that was a PC gamer like myself, has switched over to console and then finds that the console prices are going up higher than you can get a PC, which does more than just play games, but also can play the same kind of games and do it at a cheaper price and everything like that. I can't see that that would deter a lot of people from going back to PC gaming. I can't see that, they wouldn't say, well, this is more of a television product and I can stream stuff through my computer to my TV and do all that now. Um, I don't know. You can't leave that out because the
I,
PC gaming was
I,
kind of dead, but it's coming back. It's resurging because of these things, because of these costs.
and at least with me, I am leaving that out because like a PlayStation exclusive is not something that you'll be able to play on a PC. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
At least not yet. But I'm saying in this current generation, in this current gaming generation, it's not going to happen. When it does become more relevant, which I will agree with you on that one. Like it will become more and more relevant. I work for a financial company, and I see a lot of new egg purchases. Well, every day I see a lot. So it is going to happen one day, but for this current generation, it's definitely not going to happen. For the next current generation, it might, but I feel like Sony and Microsoft, if they're still in the game, and Nintendo, if they're still in the game, will be addressing that situation. Which, just kind of think about it, it would be a sad day in gaming history when Nintendo is no longer making anything. It's
Yeah.
going to happen. I mean, it's definitely going to happen. It happens, but dang, that would be like my entire childhood.
Well, they come and they go.
Yeah,
It's like
but Nintendo is like,
Atari. Look at the changes Atari went through and the problems, and you
yeah.
know.
But I actually gave my, she was 4 at the time, my 4-year-old niece an Atari flashback for like Christmas, and she loved it.
Mhm.
I'm trying to slowly work her up to a PS3, PS4. Well, that was this is our show. I mean, it was, once again, thank you for your patience, everyone. This was a redo of yesterday's amazing show. And I definitely thank Kryptonite Dragon for taking the time out to do this with me.
Certainly.
So let us know where we can find you, Kryptonite. I know you're very busy, so we probably won't be able to find you that often.
Well, you can hit us up on YouTube and comment on any of the Trophy Lounge or Podstation podcasts and below the videos that are associated with them. You can also find the audio recordings of the podcasts on iTunes. We also have RSS feeds and stuff available on the site, and we regularly post stuff on the site, and of course you can always find all of us there. You guys are found at news at TrophiesonPSN.com.
Yep, if you
I
want
can
to
be
send us an
found.
email, even if it's referring
Yep.
to the podcast or one of our writers, it's news at TrophiesonPSN.com.
Or tip for a story,
Absolutely.
and of course I can be reached at admin at TrophiesonPSN.com. And we're going to be kind of kicking off into the Google Plus realm as well, and so hopefully maybe you'll join us there because that's going to be the new way. Probably we're going to have to podcast stuff and then broadcast it to YouTube and then record it and put it up to iTunes. We'll probably have to do it in that order.
Okay. Which
So,
I am going to be posting something hopefully before the week. Hopefully before the week is over, because I mean, yes, this is the Trophy Lounge. I've been looking for forums and everything. I haven't gotten any feedback, any private messages or emails. I know you guys are listening. I'm seeing that, but I'm not getting any feedback from you guys. But I just want to play around with the show format, because I mean, if you heard yesterday's show, it was not that we didn't have fun today. It was just very, very fun, very organic, and we were just talking about whatever. I mean, obviously, yes, we're gamers, but we have a lot of different interests. So I'll be, throwing little tiny segments, try to throw little tiny segments into this hour that we have with each other. So I'll be putting some forums up to get your opinion, to get your vote, because this is your podcast. I want to hear from you guys.
cool.
All right. And you can find me on Twitter if you want to talk to me on Twitter. Perfectly fine. IDP for life. Just be aware there's a lot of stuff about CrossFit on my Twitter. But other than that, we're out.
Thank you for joining us.
Later.